In November 2020, Viken Jalalian was working as a signals officer in the Canadian Armed Forces when war erupted between Armenia and Azerbaijan over the disputed region of Nagorno-Karabakh. As an Armenian Canadian born and raised in Montreal, Jalalian no longer felt he could commit himself to the mission of the armed forces given the threat to his ancestral homeland. And so, after 7 years in Canada's military, he resigned from his post and left Canada. 1 year later, I met up with him here in Armenia, where he's been training Armenian militias in anticipation for a new war with Azerbaijan. Jalalian works with volunteer reserve groups that bolster Armenia's modest and poorly equipped military. Demand for these non-government organizations and the expertise to train them has ballooned since the 2020 war. At the conclusion of the First Nagorno-Karabakh War in 1994, Armenia claimed a resounding victory. But in the years since, its government grew complacent and its military outdated. Over this time, Azerbaijan experienced a significant oil boom, which facilitated an extensive modernization of its military. This includes the purchase of various weapons systems from oil consumer Israel and sophisticated drones from Turkey. When the Second Nagorno-Karabakh War ended in late 2020, it was a humiliating defeat for Armenia. The country was forced to sign a Russian-mediated ceasefire that saw Armenia relinquish large swaths of territory. Azerbaijan's victory in the war was made possible by their newly acquired fleet of Turkish drones. Unbeknownst to nearly all Canadians, these drones were equipped with a thermal imaging system made in Burlington, Ontario by defense manufacturer L3 Harris Westcam. The use of this technology in Nagorno-Karabakh was supposedly prohibited under the Canadian Export Agreement, and after a drawn-out investigation, Canada cancelled all high-tech arms exports to Turkey. But these had already been banned up until 6 months prior to the war, when the Trudeau government mysteriously approved the permits. As a NATO member, Turkey's direct involvement in the war put Canada in an awkward position. The Trudeau government had declared its neutrality, but the Westcam exports suggest otherwise. According to Jalalian, when Turkey attacked Armenia, there was no mandate for any NATO country to come to the aid of Armenia. I believe this is what the Kremlin wanted to prove. That is why Russia let it happen. NATO lost the moral high ground and nobody cared. Canada's confusing position in the conflict played an important role in Jalalian deciding to leave the country. Read more about Viken's decision in Armenia's fight in my story, Under the Gun in Armenia, only at C2C Journal.